good.
Good evening and welcome to this March 9, 2026 meeting of the Bluff Village Board of Trustees. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher.
Here.
Trustee Hatch.
Here, sorry.
Trustee Renner.
Here.
Trustee Ryder.
Here.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United
States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do not have awards and proclamation tonight. Our next item is the consideration of the minutes of the March 9, 2026 Village Board meetings. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Do we have any comments? Do we have any typos and so on in these documents? Do not see any comments. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No motion carries. Thank you very much. Next is our non-agenda items and visitors. The village president and board of trustees allocates 15 minutes for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the village board of trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the village board of trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Now, the next language was revised to follow up on our March 9 meeting, comments by Peter White residing at 400 East Sheridan Place, and that would be, the village board very much values public comments, and to the extent your public comment is a question or requires further investigation, village staff will follow up with you outside of this meeting. Time for non-agenda public comments is not intended to be a question and answer session or for board deliberations on non-agenda items. We appreciate your understanding and look forward to those comments, and that will be the new language.
I did receive an email earlier today from Mr. White who had a further suggestion that is, I think, pretty simple. It's simply just changing where it says not intended, blah, 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 but the board may, at its discretion, choose to answer questions or discuss non-agenda items, which is what happens. I think that's perfectly fine. We'll change that if that's all right with as long as there's no opposition.
No opposition?
Okay.
All right, we'll make that change.
Great.
Do we have any, we do not have many people in the room tonight. Do we have any comments online?
Stand by. Anybody participating through the village's Zoom meeting, now is a great time to raise your hand to participate and make comments on things that are not on tonight's agenda. And no one is raising their hand.
Going forward, item 6, that is the village board sets the order of a meeting. The village president and board of trustees will entertain requests for anyone present on the order of business to be conducted during the village board meeting. We did not have any comments from the crowd today in attendance, and so I say move forward. Next is our village finance report, and that would be our warrants report for March 10 to March 30, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the warrants report?
Motion to approve?
Second. Thank you. And tonight, the warrants report is for expenditure of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount of $930,901.72 for March 10 to March 30, 2026. Do we have any questions for Bettina and Drew?
I did have a question about it, but I'm sorry, I forgot to ask it earlier. It had to do with the impact fees that were distributed to various parts of the,
Various taxing agencies?
yeah. And what were the origin of those, and do we take them in and then distribute them? Is that the role we play? I guess I just had a question about how those work.
So sure, yeah, we take them in. They're related to 120 East Scranton.
The condo project.
The condo
Block three.
project. Those are
Oh,
related to the 3 units that were permitted and paid for, and that's how we distribute them.
and is that the sum total of the impact fees that will be paid as part of
Date
that?
it is.
to date thus far, but do we anticipate more?
14,000, some of that is our money that you're not seeing a check for, because there'll be an internal transfer from that account to our revenue lines, and the rest goes to both school districts, the library, and the park district.
So in the village's impact fee ordinance spells out, there's three different categories. There's attached single family, and there's fees associated with 2-bedroom to a 5-bedroom unit, and then there's attached single family, which is like your row houses or townhouses, and there's numbers associated or impact fees associated with 1 to 4 bedrooms, and then with the apartments or condos, that's how these are treated. This is 3-bedroom, and so a per unit fee for a condo or 3-bedroom is a little over $38,000.
Thanks.
Any more questions to Bettina? I do not see any more questions coming toward Bettina. It is a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
Trustee Renner?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is our financial report. Bettina, would you mind taking that?
Sure, so included in the packet was the February finance report. Some highlights for the month, sales tax revenue for February of '26 totaled $356,724, which is a 10.3% decline from the prior year. However, cumulative performance remains positive at 4.4%, or $159,617 more. General fund revenues have reached $12,991,038 year-to-date, exceeding FY '25 by $288,384, which is an increase of 2.27%. Year-to-date FY '26 expenditures are $11,636,635, which is $278,782 higher than the same period last year, and expenditures continue to align with budgeted operational expectations. And taking a look forward, which wasn't included in the packet, but just for informational purposes, the March sales tax revenue has rebounded back to 5% greater than the same look-back period from the prior year. So $22,000 greater, which is $474,000 and some change.
So in effect, that does cover for the questions. About 4 weeks ago, that was why we had the dip,
Right.
basically.
And I also think it's related to, we're looking back to a revenue period from last year that had higher extraordinary upswings. You know, so I'm comparing, and yeah, there's a decline, but the numbers overall are still greater.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any questions to Bettina? Seeing none, it's a voice vote, and we have a motion, correct?
I do not have a motion second.
Motion to accept.
No, so, motion to accept?
Yep.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. And thank you, Kat. Next would be our village administrator's report. Drew?
Just a quick update. Jeff, could you come up to the podium? Sorry, this is kind of catching a little bit off guard. We've been working with various contractors, and we talked a little bit about this in the Finance Committee meeting, but so the village has awarded the Block 1 project. We anticipate that starting,
It's probably going to be mid to late April, probably late
and they're still going to hit their mark of finishing it before
June.
the first
4th, I
farmer's
think,
market.
is the
Yeah.
Thursday. Yep.
And then the big project is the Green Bay Road project. We had a pre-con meeting with IDOT and the contractor, and it was fairly perfunctory. Lots
Yeah,
of,
I mean, they did remove the trees that they had to remove last week. There's going to be some tree trimming tomorrow, but they're not going to set up traffic till at least April 20th, maybe 27th. One of those 2 weeks they're talking about starting in earnest.
so one of the things we've been waiting on details from the contractor. This week, we'll send out a letter to, I'm trying to think the number of households, it's a lot.
About 200 around Green Bay Road to get the terraces in the Wimbledon area.
Talking about what they can expect for the coming weeks in terms of traffic calming measures. We've been talking about it with them at all the workshop, but the idea of the village is tonight's and on the agenda is finalizing the ability of the village to adjust speed limits in the neighborhoods for traffic calming. We have a series, I'll call it a quiver of speed humps that we'll be able to deploy as needed. And most of the concerns that we heard from the neighborhood is like around Malman Park, in the summertime, people speed up, And they want to make sure that the kids are safe, so. But we'll be ready with that, as also directed patrols from the police department. So that was the number one concern we heard, is just cut through traffic. The area is, it'll be signed as road closed, local traffic only. And that'll be for the duration of the project, which is essentially, you heard Jeff, is going to be April through November, so.
Yeah, we're just anxiously awaiting their staging and phase plan, because we told them we need to keep the buses through the neighborhoods and getting out. There is work north of Thornwood and south of Witchwood, which when they do that work, it is pretty much blocked. So we're trying to work on a plan that keeps those open, at least, when they do have to close it, it will be for a short period of time in the summer, when we will be impacting as many people.
And that's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions to Jeff or Drew on the board? I do not see any. Any questions online, Drew? Any hands? Nope.
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Jeff. Next would be our village attorney's report, and tonight we have Kelsey Nolot with us.
Hi. No, nothing to report.
Thank you. I do not have a report either tonight.
There was a second item on the village administrator's report regarding the
Yeah.
lead service lines.
Yeah.
Did we want to cover that, or
Yeah,
did we
was
cover it
really
sufficiently?
informational. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I was going to get to that, and I didn't, so apologies. But, so that's in the report, it's informational. The village really has a year to finalize that. And what I would ask you all to think about, we'll submit this to the state this week or next. But essentially, there's really one element remaining, is the village going to offer 50/50 looking back? Any particular, does the village want to do that? I don't know. We've had earlier conversations about the finance situation, the water fund, the idea that in the last probably 5 years, the village has had residents come to us and said, hey, I'm nervous about having a lead service. I'd like to get rid of it. Was there any cost participation from the village? Actually, the policy has been no, but hold on to your receipt, that the village may, no promises, may reconsider that for some look-back period. And that's really the question that you can think about, and we'll have more conversations about that in the coming months. But right now, that's really the only question to think about in our mind from staff's perspective.
One happy news on that item of the report was you have about 2,000 connections, 1,900 connections. The first time you reported on that, you had maybe 90 connections that would have been led. And in your report this time, you have 111 connections. So we're doing pretty good here.
There's always that fear that we'll find out there's a lot more, but right now that's based off the best information we have. We did go through, as you all know, we upgraded all the water meters, so that was a couple years back, and so we had a good eyes on the systems then, but it's not exact, and we don't know what's happening between the house and the street, or even the house and the B-box. So that number can change, probably will change. It probably won't go down in the immediate future, so.
I'll retract my comment. Thank you very much. Any more comments to Drew? Thank you. Moving forward to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is item 11, the acceptance of a correspondence. Item 12, a second reading of an ordinance approving a final plat of subdivision and granting a variation at 0 East Blodgett Avenue. Item 13A, second reading of an ordinance amending section 10-2C-3 of Title 10 of the Municipal Code regarding special use permits. And last, item 14, a second reading of an ordinance amending section 6-5-5 of the Bluff Municipal Code to permit the temporary modifications to speed limit on village streets, you were referring to it, traffic calming strategy for Green Bay Road and bridge reconstruction project. Is there a request to remove any of these items from the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any comments, discussions on these items? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, resuming our normal business, we have item 15, an ordinance amending section 1-6B-4 of Title 1 of the Municipal Code regarding disposition of surplus personal property. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And so that would be the disposal of municipal property in Illinois is governed by the Illinois Municipal Code, which mandates specific procedures to ensure transparency, accountability, and the protection of taxpayer interests. Typically, this requires the village board to pass an ordinance or resolution declaring property as surplus or unsuitable for public use. While the village occasionally accumulates low-value surplus item, the current Lake Bluff Municipal Code does not grant the village administrator explicit authority to dispose of personal property efficiently. To streamline this process, the proposed ordinance authorizes the village administrator to dispose of surplus personal property with an estimated value of up to $10,000 without separate board approval. Examples of items covered under this new process include, for public works, outdated and tools such as chainsaws and lawnmower. For our police department, obsolete vehicle equipment, including light bars and radar units. And for our administration and finance, retired computers, phones, and other office equipment. The disposal of real estate, of automobiles, official village documents, and abandoned or unclaimed property will continue to require formal village board approval. Questions on the board?
No question.
Nothing? All right, it is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And thank you very much. Motion carries. Next item is a resolution authorizing the purchase and service agreement with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for body-worn cameras, mobile video systems, and digital evidence management software. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. To comply with the Safety Act, the Lake Bluff Police Department deployed Axon body-worn cameras in early 2023 and a subsequent 5-year upgrade to the squad mobile video systems and digital evidence management software. The village existing Axon agreements consist of 3 separate contracts for body-worn cameras, squad or fleet cameras, and add-on equipment totaling approximately $177,000 over roughly 5 years, or about $35,000 annually. These agreements are structured independently, resulting in staggered expiration dates, separate billing, and the need for future renewals with potential price renegotiations to each. To improve administrative efficiency, the proposed combined contract merges existing agreements into a single 10-year programs totaling $340,219 with an average annual cost of approximately $34,000. This approach maintains comparable yearly spending while expanding service scope, standardizing system across the department, and providing greater long-term cost predictability and savings. Key elements of a new combined contracts include, number one, cost efficiency, approximately 6% reduction in annual service expenses. Number two, flexible terms. Although structured as a 10-year agreement, the village retains an opt-out option to terminate after 5 years. Number three, hardware life cycle. We have a scheduled replacement every 3 years for 18 body-worn cameras and a 5-year replacement for 6 mobile video systems. And last, number four, integrated services, including 2,000 gigabytes of cloud storage and professional redaction software. As an alternative, the Sourcewell-based contract offers a similar package of equipment, software, and lifecycle services over the same 10-year period, but at a significantly higher cost of $443,171 for approximately $43,800 annually. The increased cost appears to result from less bundled pricing and duplicative fleet renewal charges, creating a premium of roughly about $103,000 compared to the proposed combined contract. Staff recommends approval of the direct procurement 10-year master agreement with Axon. This unified contract eliminates fragmented agreements and potential renewal gaps, delivering a total cost of $340,219.14 over 10 years, while achieving substantial savings compared to the combined existing contracts and the Sourcewell procurement options. Questions to Drew and Matt?
I just had a question about, it said that they were carrying forward a negative balance. Is that a credit or a debit for us?
It's a credit for us, so that would be because of those contracts kind of overlapping, that we would get some carry through to that first year.
Like a pro rata?
I was thinking of something about $12,000, and that roughly for that one-time fee or credit.
That makes sense. Thanks.
And Axon is our current equipment, and Axon compares technologically speaking, compares,
It's really the only one that they use.
There's not a,
There's not really.
there's nothing
Yeah.
else, right?
And so like with our, like with the courts, so that's the state's attorney, our village prosecutor, they all utilize through the online portal that we use, so it can go back and forth kind of seamlessly. So we're not running hard drives back and forth, that type of thing. It's really integrated. It's really nice. We found it to be very beneficial to the operations of the department.
So the difference with Sourcewell is this is still the same software. This is still the same hardware, but the services are different, correct? That's the difference.
So no, it's actually really coming down to pricing. And we do have, hopefully one of our Axon partners was able to join us today, if there might be in queue there. Essentially, we were able to work with Axon directly and negotiate these pricing for that 10-year with the 5-year out. And we were able to secure that lower pricing working with them directly versus going through the Sourcewell contracting. So I think we're luckily able to work a really good deal with going direct with Axon. In fact, I think we're saving like $2,000 a year as it is now. So.
Cool.
Can I ask a dumb question? So we talked about the video surveillance system for cars coming in and out. We talked about restricting access and who can get access and requests come through you. How does this video evidence or the video cameras, how is that information controlled and shared?
So that even more falls under like FOIA. So if someone wants to try to FOIA video of something, there's obviously those restrictions and processes in place already. So it's not just released. There's a process to it. Courts, corrections, cops, those types of things changes a little differently on the release of that information. But we also work with our legal counsel if there's a question or a doubt of when, where, why, and how something is released. With part of that software that Regis was saying is the redaction. So certain things are redacted at certain times, certain ways, certain reasons. And so this software allows that really easily to be done by our staff. But when that's done, we literally have to have a staff member watch the entirety of that video, minute for minute, second for second, and make sure those redactions are in place. And our legal team helps us with those as well. But this software makes that slightly easier, and we're able to get through it in a timely fashion.
yeah, this is subject to FOIA. That's
Yeah.
the simplest way, so.
Okay.
Okay. Counsel?
It's subject to FOIA with some exceptions with the body-worn camera footage. Those are subject to a little more restrictive laws.
I assume
But the
balancing
traffic cameras
personal,
are subject to FOIA, I'm sorry.
I assume there's a balancing test of personal
Yeah.
rights, privacy.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Any more questions?
There are businesses that go out and try to secure as much of this.
Yes, and there is current
Content.
legislation that's being talked about right now in Springfield, if you want to keep your eyes out on that, from some of these releases, because sometimes FOIA has to
For
allow
commercial
for release.
purposes. They're clearly using it to create content to, it's like if you've ever watched the program Cops, it's
Right.
like,
Yep.
we're creating the content for them.
Yeah.
And just go out and get the best of clips and roll them.
I mean, if you FOIA, like I do it all the time, you
Yeah.
get everything, except for whatever's redacted,
Certain- yeah,
unless there's
certain
an
times, yeah.
ongoing investigation or something. It's subject to the same protections as all other evidence.
So I wanted to talk about Flock, but I was going to wait for trustee report. So if I need some guidance, should I wait or
Yeah,
is
you
the?
should wait, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure that it gets mentioned.
I will too.
Yes, so any more questions to Drew regarding this Axon
Exxon, yeah.
contract? It is going to be a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the vote.
Trustee Renner?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
And Trustee Hatch?
Thank you. Next item is item 17, a resolution authorizing the public right-of-way use license agreement between the Village of Lake Bluff and Level 3 Communications LLC for installation of fiber optic communication facilities. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Over the past several months, village staff and the village attorney have engaged with multiple fiber optic ventures seeking to expand telecommunications infrastructure within the Chicagoland area. We're now prepared to recommend the attached public right-of-way use license agreement with Level 3 Communications LLC. This agreement permits the installation of fiber optic cables within village right-of-way while strictly protecting municipal infrastructure and residents' interests through the village PROW construction regulation and bespoke supplemental requirements. Consistent with North Shore municipal standards, the primary provisions include, number one, terms and renewal. An initial 5-year term with automatic 5-year renewals, provided the licensee remains in full compliance. Number two, service and scope. Level 3 will act as a long-haul provider, transmitting data between endpoints outside the village. They will not provide direct internet, regrettably, or cable services to Lake Bluff residents or businesses. Number three, permitting and security. The agreement is not limited to a single site. For every installation, Level 3 must submit a permit application and post a security fund as a restoration deposit calculated at $6 per linear foot. Number four, third-party reimbursement. Level 3 is required to reimburse the village for actual documented costs of third-party consultants used to review plans or inspect work sites. Number five, the installation method. All installations must utilize directional boring or jacking rather than open trenching unless specifically waived by the village engineer. Number six, infrastructure protection. Level 3 must televise sanitary and stormwater mains before and after construction to ensure no lateral lines were impacted. Number seven, locations. New fiber must be installed like with like, running parallel to existing underground utilities to preserve future PROW capacity. Number eight, restoration. Licensee must restore disturbed area to village standards within 5 business days of completing an installation block subject to weather conditions. And number nine, liability and insurance. The agreement includes robust indemnification for the village and requires comprehensive general liability insurance for a minimum of $5 million. Staff and the representative from Level 3 Communications will be present at Monday's meeting to answer our questions. Any comments, questions on the board? My main question, reading that and knowing some of that business, how many of these providers can we accommodate within our space? Knowing that they're going to board, they're going to go through infrastructure, pre-existing infrastructures, that we do not have any issues.
So this particular provider just wants to do a one conduit, or maybe two conduits, but one path down Green Bay Road from north to south through town. So that's more of a one-off. We've had some of these similar people come on 176 before. That right away is loaded with fiber optic companies. The other ones that are referenced in the memo, we've had contact with at least 5 different fiber providers who want to do the whole village. Most of them have said that if somebody else beats us here, we're not
It's a space
going to
race.
do redundant infrastructure. So if whoever's first is probably going to be the only one that's here, because they're just not going to get the business being the second one in town providing the exact same service. So they're all out going to every community they can, trying to get agreements to install. And like I said, someone just point blank said, if somebody else is in there first, we're not coming. So I know AT&T right now, the work they're doing is to put fiber in. I don't know if that's enough to scare all these people off or not, but I imagine we'll get one comprehensive network of fiber to every resident in Lake Bluff, in the ground in the front yard, and then the others will not find it worth their while.
Thank you.
I have a question, and I appreciate the protections that are built in, protecting the community between, the timing and the levels of safety standards. I'm just curious when community members could expect this kind of work occurring.
As far as when you have access to service, like the new fiber optic internet, that's probably a year away.
Yeah,
This particular provider, because of where they want to go and because of the Green Bay, we want them in and out.
that's what I'm,
Yeah, we want them in and out with this project because we don't want to tear up the road or make other messes. So we're trying to get done so they can.
I'm just trying to understand if it could be like, the Green Bay Road residents are going to
Right.
be disturbed enough. So I know it seems like it is, it's not a super invasive project. And I see like this 5 business day,
Restoration
yes.
requirements.
So, but I'm just curious if
Yeah.
it can be sort of,
I don't know if they would come out and just run, or if, I doubt they would just, even if they got a deal done, there would be,
Their crews are in some of our neighboring communities. Actually, this agreement came through because some other Elrod Freeman clients were having problems with them. And they wrote more protections into this agreement, sent it to all their clients, so that came through.
are they in Downers? Is that where they are right now? Downers Grove? Is that?
I don't know where they are right now.
They might be in
but,
Downers.
They had submitted plans, we reviewed them, gave them comments, they resubmitted before I was gone last week, so I need to look at their resubmittal. But they say they're ready to go. When their crew is free to work in Lake Bluff, I don't know. It would certainly lessen their burden if they're digging up a street that we're gonna dig up anyway. Their plan is not to dig up the street. Where they would disturb pavement would be where they're crossing other utilities, they have to check the depth, they have to dig a hole and pothole it, and that is what I want them to avoid re-digging up on Green Bay Road. But they aren't crossing the street. I think there's just one spot where they want to cross Green Bay Road, but mostly it's just the side streets on in the West Terrace neighborhood. And they're also going, the whole North Green Bay past the school, all that is something we can't avoid. That pavement isn't bad, but that's the state's road.
So they're not going along Green Bay, they're going somewhere west of that?
No, they're going on the west side of Green Bay Road. So all those intersections they go through and they cross other utilities going up to side streets, Thornwood and West Sheridan Place and Park, and they would have to make small holes to double check some of the depths of those utilities.
And what about our bridge? It's going to be out in 2 years from now. Do they go across the bridge or do we go?
They were going under.
They're going underneath.
They're going to bore deep,
Okay. Okay.
which is where our water main goes too, actually. It goes all the way under there, under 6 feet under the railroad tracks.
Interesting.
Expensive.
But it's fast. Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions, Jeff? All right, it is a roll call vote. Clerk?
Trustee Ryder.
aye?
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Next is our trustees' report. I believe that we had a request.
Chief, I'd love for you to come up. It's no surprise that I am not going to drop my concern about Flock. I've been keeping up with the news, and I know that it wasn't that long ago that we had an update on how it's been working. And my concerns aren't so much about our specific community, but generally as on a whole. There's a class action suit right now, a national class action suit that started in February against Flock for misuse. And there's just a lot of reporting of both, of the misuse of the software. So I'm curious about, I guess what I'm trying to say is I really do want us to reevaluate how is it serving the community, is it worth the price, and what the impact might be if this class action suit has legs. Even people who are communities that aren't participating in the class action lawsuit are currently dropping out of the program anyways. So without a network of Flock users, which was sort of the vision was, if you're an isolated pocket of cameras, the continuity of its impact, it won't be as meaningful. So right now we have kind of a direct line because we connect at least southward, right, all the way through
North
Highland
and
Park.
south.
Right.
And west.
Right, yeah, so we're connected right now, but I'd like us to, especially as we just left our budget meeting, I know the price doesn't make a huge impact, but I'm still not convinced that it's worth its weight. So I'd love for us to revisit, I'd love an exploration of the impact of communities dropping out and what, if anything, how the company will be impacted by the lawsuit.
So I'm trying to remember, I think we did a 2-year initial term,
Yes.
and we started in 2024.
So yeah, last.
So I think
last-
you're- I think it's coming
no,
up.
Last
At that
year.
point, yeah.
Last April was
Yeah.
live.
All right, so it's coming up. So if that's adequate timing, but as far as I know, only Evanston and Oak Park were the only ones
I
that
think, yeah,
dropped.
to my knowledge, those are the ones that dropped out.
And I think on a brighter side of things, Arlington Heights just negotiated a contract with Flock that has privacy and unauthorized usage penalties, the first in Illinois. So I think,
Through Peter's office as well. I believe they negotiated that contract, and we've been having actually, at least twice now, we've had small group meetings with the CEO and some of the other executive staff. I mean, small groups, like there was maybe 15 of us in these meetings. So I have seen there's obviously some steps being taken to be very diligent to my opinion, I haven't seen before. Again, with the contract being one of them with Arlington Heights, these small group meetings with the executive team. But we can put something together too and kind of, give you more.
yeah, there was a number of communities that got together with the Northwest Municipal League that banded together and had here's a series of cases where Flock was instrumental in solving or getting leads that resulted in good outcomes and closures. And I know we have our own too. So, but we can get information on that. And in terms of the timing, if the board, I'll go back and nail down the exact date and let you all know if that's not fast enough, if there's concerns.
Yeah, I don't want it to, I'm going to need to be sold. I think you all know this. If we're going to be coming up on a reevaluation, my current vote will continue to be no. And so I don't want us to be harried or rushed in this exploration if we have a contract to review. I think we need to be meaningful about the information. And again, I will repeat, my concern is, though I appreciate we have seen successful examples within our community, balancing our right to privacy against personal property, it continues to it doesn't jive for me. We're living in a strange time where our privacy is more and more reduced, and I don't want to play a role in that. So it may seem like it's, small now, but I continue to have concerns about what happens if Flock is sold, if the business, has new ownership that renegotiates how this information is used. And I don't know, even with the changes I proposed and we made in the contract, that I feel like our community and our residents are properly protected. So, yeah.
We'll bring it back. And
Yeah.
to your point, and I think there is some legislation being kicked around in Springfield that may kind of create some more state rules around privacy, those similar type concerns.
That is, yeah, there is some conversations on that, and it was, we talked about it briefly today. But I know there was discussions on some of that language. And I believe, I don't want to speak for them, but I believe the Attorney General had some part in that. So I guess we'll see where it all kind of shakes out.
Great.
I have a couple of questions related to this. Thank you, Chair, for staying on top of it. The reports, the nationwide reports have been that Flock is allowing the data to be used by ICE. So
Yeah.
what do we have in?
My understanding is that they are not, and that was coming from the CEO.
Okay,
So,
so they never
that's-
lie.
But here's the issue. I'll just jump in, because it's not necessarily the company, but there's misuse within
Departments.
departments.
Right,
Yeah.
right, but, so my question
Yeah.
related to this is, what protections do we have in place? So we know that you can't help, you as an Illinois police officer can't help ICE enforce a administrative warrant, right? Because the state has
Civil, not criminal, right?
impacted that. Does that extend to the data that you maintain? For example, if they're trying to enforce an administrative warrant, can they come knock on our door and say, please let us know the last time XYZ 123 came through your
No, because it
location?
cannot, we actually are agreed not to use it for that purpose, and that's in the program. So you cannot use it for immigration and customs enforcement. We can't do it anyways. We can't assist ICE for administrative warrants anyways.
Okay, so that was one way there was misuse. There's also individual misuse. So I'm just looking at a report from the ACLU. There's individuals within police departments that have misused to target people. I know we talked about that. What kind of auditing do we do on the use of Flock data? How do you know with certainty that there isn't a rogue police officer using the data for reasons that they're not supposed to use it?
So internally too, we do an internal audit of it, and Deputy Chief Gerke's in charge of the program. We check it against what we've done and what's requested. It's all logged and categorized. So we're able to evaluate that and see if there is any possible discrepancies or questions. And we can do our best, obviously, to track that backwards and see where it was used for.
So there's regular audits by the deputy chief, looks to see how the Flock data how it's been accessed, the reasons for which it's been accessed.
That our protocols that are established are being followed.
Okay, okay.
But there is a question behind that. How do you know that there is nefarious use of that data outside of your control, such as you push that data to a cloud infrastructure? How do you know that people are not using that
Grabbing it
data?
from like the company side.
Yeah.
I guess they also have, as I understand it, their own internal processes, right, for securing data. I think that would be more of a question to ask them directly to give the more technical.
Do you have access to reviewing that log outside of your realm, outside of
So
your
we can
office
see if
or-
someone else has accessed it. We have that limited group, right, that you'll see on that transparency portal. So those are the limited organizations that can share data. Ours is wider. We have a wider net of what we can receive in, but to go out is different. It's a lot smaller. So that was very specific and pointed on that to keep that pretty minimal.
So as I understood it, Flock could not take the data that was coming in and use that for their own purposes. Another concern that's expressed by the ACLU in this report is that Flock was in turn selling the data that was collected on their cameras that we, purchased from them and have hooked up to our equipment, and that they had copies of the same kind of data that we were receiving and were in turn selling it to third parties. Do we have if you had any concerns about that. I know we talked about this during our discussions of the contract, that it's our data, not theirs. Presumably, they are not permitted to sell it. But has this kind of issue arisen, or perhaps you've seen it at your law firm?
I
this kind of
haven't
issue?
personally looked at much of the issues around Flock. I know that those are all questions regardless of what the contract says, what's happening to that data. I know those are all kind of outstanding questions, but we'd have to kind of dig into this a little bit deeper before really giving you a true answer there.
So, yeah, in June, Flock announced the launch of a Flock Business Network, a collaborative hub designed to help private sector organizations work together to solve and prevent crime. I guess if our individuals, putting aside what we've chosen to do, individuals can also purchase Flock cameras, right? And then they,
Property owners, yes.
property owners
Hospital, yeah.
can and do, and then to your point, I mean, there's a whole network of this information. I guess we can certainly look at the contract and the terms under which we approved it and continue to examine that. And I do appreciate that you're staying on top of these issues, which had kind of hit my consciousness, and I thought, not in our small town, you know. But I guess with AI developing as fast as it is, the use of these images in all kinds of nefarious ways continues to concern me. It seems like we have our house in order. We maintain these images for 14 days, as I recall. We shortened it to 14 days.
Very
Just
short.
becoming in vogue, actually.
Yes.
That's been one of the responses.
So that was one of the things about the
Yes, you know.
right? A limited time frame. But again, there was one case where that we were past that 14-day window that we weren't able to extract data. You know,
There's a cost benefit.
you know, there is that factor. I mean, they were asking for a very reduced number, which was really reduced. Sometimes, you know, you don't even get cases within the first couple days, you know.
So my point is, I think you're right to stay vigilant. I think that the use case is exploding as AI explodes with this kind of data. And the best that we can do, other than get rid of them, which apparently some towns have, is to ensure that we've done everything we can to tighten up the data use on our end as much as possible. And of course, continue to look at whether the cost-benefit analysis that got us here.
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
So we'll make preparations for that conversation. I would love to get I don't think we had a most favored nation status clause. I don't remember if we had that in this, but the idea of whatever Arlington Heights was able to negotiate,
I don't
that'd be
think so.
great to get that language as well. But noted the concerns.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
For everything.
Here to answer questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your report. Any other report on the board? Trustees' reports? I do not see anybody making such thing. Next would be a consideration of the minutes of a March 9, 2026 executive session. Could I please have a motion on this report?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have any comments to Drew?
Second.
Second, I'm sorry. Do we have any comment on this report? It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have an executive session tonight. And specifically, may I have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing appointment of specific volunteers of a public body pursuant to the Illinois Open Meeting Act, Section 5 LCS 120/2C1, and that upon the adjournment of a closed session, this regular meeting will be deemed to automatically be adjourned by the same vote without the conduct of any further business.
Just to clarify, it's the C21 and C3 for the appointment and discussion of minutes. C1 is just the general.
Okay,
statute.
so 23,
21 and 3.
21, and 3. Motion to go in session?
Second.
Thank you very much. This is a roll call.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Ritter.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Thank you so much. And this concludes the open part of the meeting tonight. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thanks all.
Recording stopped.